Only with the Fox Business iPhone app.
Bye-bye ACORN. Hounded by the scandal, the community organizing group has shut down offices all over the country following that infamous video, of course, in which ACORN staffers were seen advising undercover journalists on how to launder money from a prostitution racket, add voter registration fraud, theft of funds, charges of tax fraud, add it all into the mix, and you got an organization on life support. But will it emerge from intensive care, perhaps with a different name, with different bylaws, etc., but with the same basic core? Joining us now is Congressman Steve King. He sits on the House Judiciary Committee and has called ACORN's activities criminal. Congressman, what do you think? Does it survive out of all this with a different name, maybe with a different board of directors, but basically the same organization?
Well, David, I think that they're scrambling, trying to survive, and their funding has been dramatically reduced. It's not been eliminated. I'm not surprised that they would try to reform under different names and try to present themselves with a different character, like New York Communities for Change rather than New York ACORN. But the jury is still out as to whether we'll be able to keep the money shut off to ACORN, whether the benefactors will keep the money shut off to ACORN, and whether they can form themselves into enough organizations and change their image is an open question. The Government Reform Committee of Darrell Isis brought a report out that showed 361 different affiliates that ACORN had. Now, it may be that's an over-under number, but they can hide behind a lot of different corporations, but it's the same faces, same board of directors.
Forgive me for interrupting, but the funny thing about half of those organizations were all in one little building in New Orleans. That's what we all found out. So it was obviously a tremendous subterfuge that went into this organization, but they now say, you mentioned the name, the New York Communities for Change is one of them, says it will be fighting for social and economic justice throughout New York State. Do you know what that means? What does it mean to be fighting for social and economic justice?
Well, fighting for social and economic justice often means fighting for socialism. And if we look at the initiatives of ACORN, that's some of the things that they do. But a lot of the resources that go into ACORN by a variety of different sources go into empower ACORN themselves and to support Democrat candidates, not Republicans, Democratic candidates. So they have had a strong political initiative, almost all of it behind Democrats. And by the way, the Democrats know who the beneficiaries are. It is they. That's why where I stand in this Congress will not see an investigation come out of the Judiciary Committee with Chairman John Conyers or the Constitution Committee with Chairman Jerry Nadler. The legislative, executive, and judicial branches of government have all put a protectionary shield over ACORN. We have a lot to do before we're able to atrophy ACORN into what they should be.
Despite everything that has come out, Congressman, despite all we know, obviously the videos on the fake prostitute, et cetera, but all of the investigations in New Orleans into their tax problems, it still can get money from the U.S. government because that was one of its biggest benefactors.
The answer to that, I believe, is technically yes. And a very watchful eye may prevent that from happening, but if they break apart into all of these different entities and to try to chase it down and audit it is very, very difficult. We need a lot of resources. And I will say that the information that was gathered at 2609 Canal Street at their headquarters in New Orleans by Buddy Caldwell, the Attorney General of Louisiana, working in cooperation with other attorneys general would be very helpful. But it'll take a lot more than that with a protection shield of the chairs of some of the committees in this Congress that are blocking investigations.
Because, you know, I mean, there are all kinds of organizations. I don't have a problem with a socialist organization in the United States. I do have a problem with it getting money, tax money. I have a problem with it cheating the IRS. I have a problem with it cheating individuals. But, you know, if you want to go out and espouse what you want to go out, fine, do it. Go ahead. But don't do it on my dime. That's the problem.
That's exactly right, David. To use taxpayer dollars to drive a political agenda, by the way, a political agenda that additionally is anathema to the American belief system. But the most egregious thing that they do, and there are many on the list, has been their confession that they have produced over 400,000 false or fraudulent voter registrations. Right. Now that subverts elections, it undermines our Constitution, and no one can believe that the purpose is to do anything except produce fraudulent votes in the end.
Well, and
that is the most egregious thing they do.
Bottom line, what it's doing is using our tax dollars to get people voted. That's bribery, pure and simple, and we can't have it. Congressman Steve King, please keep a watchful eye on ACORN. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
I'll stay with them.
Coming up on deck, more ClimateGate fallout. Can anyone go to